The Stanley Cup playoffs might be underway, but for the New York Rangers, their season is over, which means off-season content starts now with a brand new series coming up right now on From the Blue Seats. The Stanley Cup playoffs are here, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, has a new customer offer. You can bet player props, you can bet the spread, you can bet the money line, you can bet live. It does not matter. From the opening faceoff to the final horn, every moment matters. And new DraftKings customers bet just $5 and you'll get $100 in bonus bets instantly. All you have to do is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN so you're ready for the moment. That's code THPN to turn $5 into $100 in bonus bets instantly in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-MY-RESET. New York, call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 and over in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. Limited time offer.
Copyright 2026 NHL. All rights reserved. What's going on, Rangers fans? Welcome to yet another edition of From the Blue Seats, a New York Rangers podcast presented by DraftKings. I'm Jimmy Fanizzi. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Follow us on X and Instagram at BlueSeats94 and use the hashtag BlueSeats to chat with us on any and all topics at hand. Send us fan mail as well from theblueseats@gmail.com. That's from theblueseats@gmail.com. Also, make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube and subscribe on all audio platforms. And be sure to rate us 5 stars. It would mean the world to us. Yes, the Stanley Cup playoffs are officially underway. And boy, oh boy, they have been very, very entertaining so far. I already know I'm probably getting a couple of my picks wrong. If you didn't check out my first round playoff predictions, go check out my last episode when I also did my Rangers season wrap up. I'll leave a link right up there in the video corner. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening on audio, I'll leave a link down below in the description. But Stanley Cup playoffs are underway, but the Rangers, unfortunately, are not in it. They probably had one of the worst seasons that I've seen in my lifetime as a Ranger fan, having watched this team for almost 15 years. But the good news is this starts the off-season content for this show, and I've been very, very excited to start this new series on the show called Player Report Cards. Now, how this is going to work is every single week, I am going to start grading different groups of players. So we're going to do the goalies, we're going to do the forwards, we're going to do the defensemen, we're going to do the coach, and of course, we're going to do the GM. But that'll be saved for the end. Today, we are focused on grading the goaltenders. So, with that being said, let's start with who I think was probably the bright spot, or one of the big bright spots for the Rangers this season, and that would happen to be Igor Shesterkin. I mean, are we really that surprised? I mean, I know Shesterkin missed some time due to injury, but let's be honest. Shesterkin was not the reason why the Rangers finished where they did, which was dead last in the Metro this year. Shesterkin, despite him missing some time, in 51 games played this season, he racked up 25 wins, had a 2.50 goals against average, a .912 save percentage, which, by the way, was an improvement from last season on those two stats. But he did end up only getting 1 shutout this season compared to last season, in which he had 6. I really do think that sometimes people underestimate the value that Igor Shesterkin has on this team, because they look at the contract that he signed back in 2024, which was an 8-year contract worth $92 million, which is $11.5 million a year, which makes him the highest paid goalie in NHL history as of this point. And you know what? He's been worth every damn penny. I don't care what anybody says. The Rangers have been so blessed with elite goaltending over the last few years, it has not been funny. They went from Mike Richter to Henrik Lundqvist and now Igor. It really isn't fair. It really isn't fair with all the good luck that the Rangers have had with finding talent at the goaltending position. They have been so good over the last few years, and they have really tried their best to steal games for the Rangers. Shesterkin especially. He is a guy that can absolutely steal you a game night in and night out if he has to. But you also need to have a good team around you. And Shesterkin, quite frankly, did not have a good team around him this past season. There were a few bright spots, and again, we're going to rank the rest of the players coming up in the coming weeks. But Shesterkin, again, he missed some time due to injury, but I really don't think you can say that he himself as an individual had a bad season. I really don't think he did. And not to mention that he got into his first career fight with Devils goalie Jacob Markstrom as the season dwindled down, which probably is one of the greatest moments I've seen this entire season. I never thought Shesterkin was the type of person that would go out there and start a fight, even though Markstrom came up to him. But the fact that Shesterkin got involved, I mean, that's something I certainly was not expecting. That just shows you how tough he is. But again, Shesterkin, I loved what I saw from him this season. I really did. You know, I know that he's had a couple of bad games, and look, elite goalies have bad games. It happens. You're not going to win all of them. Would I have liked to see more shutouts? Yes. Would I have liked to see more wins? Yes. But the team's got to help. The team didn't help him get that many wins because they didn't score much. They didn't give him enough offensive support. So it really wasn't fair to him. But again, I really love what I saw from Igor Shesterkin. You really can't say anything negative about the way that he played and that how he tried to help his team this year. So for Shesterkin's efforts, I am going to grade Igor Shesterkin's season an A. I know that might be controversial to some, but for me, Shesterkin was one of the big bright spots for the Rangers this year. So for me, Shesty gets an A. And he's not going anywhere, by the way. His contract is up after the 2032-2033 season. So, needless to say, Shesterkin is sticking around for a while. But the real question is, how many more years of prime Shesterkin are we going to get left? That remains to be seen. But for right now, enjoy the prime years while you can. This year was just another example of why he's still in his prime. Igor Shesterkin gets an A from me. Now let's move on to the guy that, quite frankly, had a down year last year, but let's face it, the man's 40 years old, and he announced recently that this year was his final season. He just entered retirement, and that would happen to be Jonathan Quick. Now listen, this year was not the swan song that I think all of us had kind of hoped for Jonathan Quick. I'm pretty sure he wanted to go out better too. But look, his age really started to show this year. It really did. In 25 games played, he's lost 17 games, had an .891 save percentage, and had a 3.09 goals against average. Now, initially, when Shesterkin went down and Jonathan Quick was called upon to be the number one starter, I said to myself, this is not it. Jonathan Quick cannot hold down the fort forever. He's not the same. There were moments, but he can't keep that up night in and night out. Initially, I would have thought, oh, they should call up Dylan Garand and give him a look. Now, eventually they ended up doing that, and we'll look into him in a little bit. But had they called up Garand earlier, instead of having Quick go in and night out, I really think that the season would have been different for Quick. Because at least when he was a backup, he continued to not necessarily play in his prime per se, but he still could provide you with those key saves when you needed to most. But by going out there and playing a 40-year-old goaltender every single night when your number one guy is out, that is not going to do you any favors. And look, we all know the career accolades of Jonathan Quick. 3-time Stanley Cup champion, most wins by an American-born goalie in NHL history, a lot of shutouts, future Hall of Famer of the works. He's probably going to end up retiring as an LA King. But the fact that he got to finish his career with the team that he grew up watching, which is the New York Rangers, I really think that speaks volumes to how much he really cared about the organization, the team, and just his career in general. And I think we can all appreciate the fact that he got to finish his career here, which was very, very nice. But this season, though, it was not the swan song that Jonathan Quick, nor any of us had predicted him to go out to. So unfortunately for me, I got to give Jonathan Quick's last season in the NHL a C minus. I got to give it a C minus. I mean, I know that may not be fair, but compared to what he used to be, again, I know he was 40 years old and the team didn't help either, but let's face it. When you're called upon to be the number one guy, you're expected to show up, especially in New York, and quite frankly, he wasn't the same. So, again, it's not fair, and congratulations to Quick. All the best in retirement, but this season definitely was not it for him. He gets a C minus for me. Now, to round out the goaltender conversation for our report cards, I know it's only 3 games into his young career, but let's discuss a little bit about Dylan Garand. Now, I, for one, think that they should have called him up earlier, right as Shesterkin got hurt. Had they done that, and he played the way that he did toward the end of the season, we'd be having a whole different conversation about Dylan Garand. We might have been saying, oh, he should have been the number one guy for Shesterkin in his absence and not Jonathan Quick. Because that's how good Dylan Garand has looked in 3 games in his NHL career. He's only racked up 2 wins, yes, but in those 3 appearances, he has a 1.62 goals against average and a save percentage of .948. And he's only 23. There's still going to be some growing pains. But Dylan Garand, now that Jonathan Quick has officially retired and he's out the door, Dylan Garand has a prime opportunity to be the number one backup option to Igor Shesterkin. Which leaves you the question about who's going to be the third stringer next year, but that's another conversation for another day. But as far as the main backup option to Shesty, Dylan Garand has shown that he can be it. And also keep this in mind. He's 6'1". That's considered relatively small for a goaltender. But he is an elite mover. He's a great tracker of the puck. And it seems like, so far, when pressure is up, he has shown to be calm, cool, and collected. His movement and his nose for the puck to track it has been outstanding so far in his young career. And I really hope that the Rangers give him a chance to prove himself so he can be the backup option to Igor Shesterkin for next season. So, really, really good flashes so far by the young 23-year-old goalie Dylan Garand. So, I know it's 3 games in, but so far, I love what I saw from him. I got to give Dylan Garand, in his short time here so far, an A. Let's see what happens next season when he finally has the full potential to be Shesty's backup. But so far, I'm giving him an A for 3 games in. So overall, what does this average out to for the grade of the goalies? Well, again, like I said, Shesterkin, bright spot. Excellent all around. Would have liked to see more shutouts, but Shesterkin can't really say anything bad. Jonathan Quick, again, not the swan song that we all had hoped for him, but again, he's 40 years old. He's not in his prime anymore. He's going into retirement. All the best to him. But this year was definitely not it for Jonathan Quick. And then Garand, again, only 3 games in, but there is a lot of promise with this young kid. And by the way, Garand was considered a top 10 prospect by the Rangers. So that just shows you how much they believe in this kid. So overall, averaging out these grades, the goaltending for this season gets a B+. Shesterkin and Garand, again, great things all around. But Quick, I mean, it really is a shame the way he ended his career. It really is a shame. I wish it could have ended better, but overall, the goaltending definitely was not the main issue for the Rangers as to why they finished last. You definitely saw a lot of good things with the goaltending overall. So, in the end, the average grade for me, in my opinion, for the goaltending is a B+. Let's hear from you. What grade would you give the Rangers goaltending as a whole and individually for everybody for the 25-26 season? Let me know in the comments below on YouTube or on social media, X and Instagram at BlueSeats94. Use hashtag BlueSeats and send us fan mail from the BlueSeats at gmail.com. That's from the BlueSeats at gmail.com. We want to hear from you. What grade would you give the Rangers goaltending overall? If you like what you saw or heard, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe on YouTube and hit that bell so you're notified of all episodes. And subscribe on Apple, Spotify, YouTube Music, wherever you listen to your podcasts. And be sure to rate us 5 stars. It would mean the world to us. And once again, we are sponsored by DraftKings. Use code THPN at sign up. New customers who bet $5 get $100 in bonus bets if their bet wins. That's code THPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 and enrolled in select states, and please play responsibly. Next week, we will start part 1 of grading the forwards. So stay tuned next week. I'm Jimmy Fanizzi. This is From the Blue Seats, a New York Rangers podcast. Go Blue Shirts, and we'll catch you next time. Peace!